Hi friends, I'm Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. We're going to see if we can wake up the newbie drone Acrobee BLV4 with the new 0802 27,000 kV motors that just came out. Shout out to newbie drone. Kelvin sent me a set of these a couple of days ago, and yeah, he was like in China, but he still managed to get a message to his guys to send me a set of these, which is very cool. I shot him a quick message. I said, hey Calvin, I see you got those 27,000s. Do you need any, you looking for any media content, whatever, surrounding them? And he just immediately, like a couple hours later, I got the email that there was a set being sent to me. So that's super cool, much appreciative. Here they are here. It looks like that's pretty awesome. So as I opened them up, initially I was like, oh my God, they expect you to solder on your own wires? No, no, no. They're giving a set of the standard wires now along with the motors. The motors come with the newbie drone plugs soldered to them, but then they give you a set of the regular wires, and that's super cool, man. That's really, really smart. That allows you to run these motors pretty easily, easishly. It is, admittedly, they are very small solder joints. So I don't know if I can say easily, but yeah, it's very cool that they give you a set of these. I mean, it makes sense. You know, they're using the smaller plugs on their AIOs to free up a little bit of space. They think that that's a better option than these old school bigger connectors. Maybe they're right. Unfortunately, these old school bigger connectors are the industry standards. So, you know, it's tough to kind of change industry standards, even if your product is a little bit better. If your, not product, but your version, if your version is a lot better, then yeah, it's a little bit more doable. I guess that the smaller plugs that they run are not enough better that anybody else is really going to go to them, so far at least. Emax uses it though. Emax uses the smaller JST plugs, but I think that's about it. So yeah, really, really cool that they give you the extra little set of wires here. So yeah, tonight what we're going to be doing is, I've got this BLV4. This is actually a BLV3 AIO with an EP2 on it. This is an AIO that I was using on a tiny lifter, but it was like a spare one. It was like a backup one. So I threw it together with this BLV4 purple frame, and I put a Mobula 6 camera and canopy on it. The reason I kind of did this build this way was because the weight of this build as it sits right here is the same weight as a Newbie Drone Acrobee BLV4. So if I wanted to test a different motor or a different propeller on a BLV4, I could do that with this rig. Recently, Kelvin sent me not one, but two BLV4 AIOs in response to the one that caught on the one that failed during the 2S stuff. I took one of the ones that he sent me and I tried it again on 2S on the tiny lifters. You guys saw that stream a couple of weeks ago. Didn't work out. It's acting really funny, and I'm still waiting for Kelvin to get back to me on that. This other BLV4, what I realized that I should do with it is put another actual BLV4 together with it. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to build a plug-and-play BLV4 with the new 0802 27,000 motors. I'm even going to build this damn thing with PH2.0. And then I've got 3 Nitro Nectar PH2.0 batteries that we're going to run on it. But then we're going to move it to BT2.0. And I've got 3 old beat-up BT2.0 batteries that we're going to run on it so that you guys can really see. I don't know if I've ever done it on the same live stream where we go from PH2.0 to BT2.0. So yeah, that should be super fun. The reason that I'm doing it this way is because I want to show you guys what kind of performance you can get from a fully plug-and-play BLV4, right? You go on Newbie Drone's website, you order the current Acrobee with the BLV4 AIO in it. It's going to come with 0802 20,000 motors. You're going to throw those in the bin. Don't throw them in the bin, save them, because the motor bells will work on the 27,000 kV motors, so hang on to them. But you're going to buy yourself a set of the 27,000 kV motors because they're just so much better, and you're just going to screw them down and plug them in. In that scenario, you did not have to touch a soldering iron. This is a full solderless, I mean, it's just a motor swap, really. But I am going to show you something else that you can do to save a little bit of weight. Basically, getting rid of the goober canopy, taking the camera out, and putting it into a McStinky mount. The McStinky mounts are printable. This is going to save you probably about a gram. Let me take a look. I'll tell you the weight savings right now. I know a gram doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a ton of weight in the world of tiny whoops where they're only like 20, 21, 22 grams. So the Goober canopy and camera is 3.1 grams. Just the camera is 1.6 grams. So 1.6, 2.6, and then 0.5. So the Goober canopy is 1.5 grams versus the McStinky canopy, which you can 3D print, or if you have a friend or family member that's got a 3D printer, you can have them print it for you. Where's the big McStinky? The McStinky canopy is available over on Thingiverse. Took me a second for some reason. Here's a big McStinky. Let's weigh one of these guys. The big McStinky mount is 0.7 of a gram. So you're gonna save almost a full gram by going to the big McStinky mount. More importantly, to be honest though, is that you're gonna gain durability. The Goober canopy is great for the tiny lifters because it's got the mounting provisions that we need to hook up the TPU piece for the Insta360 Go 2. But for freestyle, the Goober canopy is a little bit fragile, and they do break a little bit more frequently than I would personally like. So yeah, we're gonna put a newbie drone camera into a big McStinky mount. I think this one is 25 degrees of up tilt. Might be 20 degrees of up tilt. Doesn't really matter. You get to pick. The McStinky mount that you want is the big McStinky. That's what it's called. There's 3 different versions of the McStinky mount. The big McStinky is the one that works with the newbie drone BI camera. Cool. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to test BT2.0 versus PH2.0. The spoiler there is that BT2.0 is way better. It's going to be like very obvious. We're going to get more power and more runtime. It's crazy. And then I'm really excited to see how these 0802 27000s are on this Acrobee, because 27,000 kV is where stuff starts to really get interesting. And it's 0802, which is pretty awesome. We're going to be able to do tri-blades because they're 0802s. It'll obviously still turn the bi-blades. So yeah, all kinds of cool stuff coming up. Stay tuned. We're in for some fun here tonight. And hey, nobody else has sent me big stinky McStinky mounts, so our 3D printing little mini competition is going to be, I think, maybe on Friday. I've put the box here on my desk to remind myself. Just in time FPV with the subscription. Thank you, brother. All right, cool. So let's just put this stuff aside for the time being, and we're going to handle some housekeeping-ish stuff. In the chat, Frank Nicholas was first, Kevin James is next, Punani, Technique, Fractalized, Northern Tier, Kristen Muoda, okay, I'm just going to call you Christian, Flush FPV, Gusto, Brandon Woodford, Freelojo, Jesse Garcia, Michael D, Northern Tier again, Bob Bruce, Cold Front and Penguin, Espander, Rockcrawler, Fractalized again, Binks Mage, Michael D, Rockcrawler, Mr. Huggy, Fractalized, Bob Bruce, C-Mac, what's up, friends? Thanks for coming by. If you want to talk directly to me, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. When you do that, it'll light up an orange for me, and I'll know that you're talking to me. This is my full-time job. If you like what I'm doing here and would like to see it continue, I rely on you. I do not take money from sponsors or anything like that. I'm completely crowdfunded. I do have a couple of sponsors who give me free stuff, like free propellers and whatnot. But with anybody that's wanted to sponsor me, what I've made really clear from day one is like, look, if you have something that you come out with, that you send me or that you put out and I get a hold of and it sucks, you're getting thrown under the bus for making a crappy product. And that's just the way that it is. I'm going to give you the feedback so that you can hopefully fix it, but I'm not going to not put a review out that trashes on something that you release that's bad. And any company that has been willing to sponsor me after that, they're always just like, I love that. That's exactly what we want. You know, you're a sponsor so that you can give us feedback as much as create content around stuff. They've all, of course, wanted me to like let them know and not just put out a review trashing on it without giving them the feedback so they can correct it. But yeah. So there's a million different ways that you can help me. They're all over on CiottiFPV.com. Patreon certainly helps me out the most. It's the closest thing that I have to a paycheck, and it's the only way that I can do this for 40, 50 hours a week every week. You can join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month. That's only 10 cents a day. And hey, if you're into FPV, I know good and well you got 10 extra cents a day. Let me get that 10 cents and I'll keep making this good stuff to help you not buy bad stuff, to help you fly better, tune better. All these good things will come from a dime a day to your gangly ass buddy. We've been on a hot streak with one new Patreon every single live stream recently. Who's it going to be tonight, yo? Who's going to join that's not currently a Patreon? It's only $3. If you do $5, you can get in on some giveaways. But for $3 a month, there's all kinds of good stuff going on. You're going to get access to the Discord. The Patreon page itself has a whole bunch of tech articles that are going to teach you a lot of good stuff and save you some money there. There are a couple of Facebook groups. You're going to get access to a YouTube playlist with all kinds of cool stuff, sketchy flying, half-finished edits, Patreon-only live streams. Those are the big things. I'm sure I'm forgetting something else, but yeah. Give me a couple of bucks, yo, and I'll keep doing this forever, and you'll save some money and time and blah, 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 blah. Etsy has some really fun stickers and hardware. You can support me by buying yourself something nice. Teespring, same kind of deal, but with t-shirts and mugs and tote bags. Over on Fiverr, you can work with me one-on-one. I've been at this for over 6 years. Let the thousands and thousands of dollars that I've pissed away on stuff that catches on fire or just doesn't fly properly benefit you so that you don't waste $80 on an ESC that catches on fire when you plug it in. I can help you fly better, I can help you tune better, and I can help you build better. Tuning is more of like an educational sort of approach. Like, yes, I'm going to get your rigs tuned up during the session, but I'm going to spend a good amount of time explaining exactly what I'm doing in the tuning process. My hope is that after 1 or 2 tuning sessions, you know enough and you're comfortable enough to do it yourself. I don't want to have people coming back to me over and over and over and over again for tuning. I want to educate you so that you're not afraid of the sliders, so that you're not afraid of P gain or D gain or anti-gravity or any of these things that we change to make our rigs fly a little bit better. The build planning is really focused around what the best possible rig is for you specifically. Every single one of us flies a little bit differently. We all fly in different locations. We want to do different things with our footage. Some people don't even care about footage. They're just flying for fun. And yeah, in the build planning sessions, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions to get dialed in on that. And then that way I can recommend a frame and a motor and a battery and an ESC and a flight controller and a receiver link system that makes sense for you. This is a process that usually takes years and costs thousands and thousands of dollars, because if you're going to do that for like on your own, you're just going to have to buy a ton of stuff, and some stuff is going to work, the other stuff is not going to work. Hopefully you can sell it and get some of the money back, but yeah, it's a really expensive process. I've done that process with tiny whoops, with 2-inch rigs, 2.5, 3-inch rigs, 3.5, 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch now. So let me help you out through that process, and your life will get incrementally better, I promise. And then here's a little PayPal button if you don't want to do a super chat because you're angry that YouTube and Google will take 30%. You can support me right here. Do a little PayPal, and then in the chat, just type CiottiFPV, check your PayPal, and I'll go give you the shout out that you deserve for supporting the madness. Last thing, I've got a whole bunch of affiliate links here. When you do an order on the internet, somebody has an affiliate link to that website. Help them out. Find that affiliate link, click it before you check out, and whoever that person is will get 1 to 6% of your order total. It is free money, yo. I have affiliate links to We Bleed FPV, Newbie Drone, FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Butter, and AliExpress. Down the bottom here, there's a bunch of just stuff kind of for fun that you might dig. Click them, smile, live a better life. Hold on. I'm trying to do 3 things every morning as soon as I wake up. Drink water, you lush. You get dehydrated overnight. So first thing in the morning, try to drink some water. Little tiny bit of exercise. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Couple push-ups, plank, downward facing dog if you're into yoga. Superman's, I'm trying to strengthen up like I have upper back problems. So one of the ways to strengthen your upper back is to do Superman. You lay on your stomach and then you put your arms out like this and then you lift your legs and your arms up and it just cranks your back. And then sunlight. Those 3 things will wake you up and make you not so groggy during the day. So basically, I roll out of bed. I do like, right now I'm starting really slow. So like 60 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever, of exercise. Drink a whole cup of water, and then I make cereal, which has a bunch of water in it as well, right? I use rice milk because I have food sensitivities to every single other kind of milk. But yeah, any liquids are primarily made up of water. I make my cereal and I'm sitting out on the front. We don't really have a front porch per se, but there's a little chair out in front of the front door. Yeah, sit there and eat my cereal and get some sunlight and just brightness. It's about getting bright light into your eyeballs, instead of just immediately coming down here into this cave that is a basement, and just, yeah, working. So join me, yo. There is a 4th thing that you're supposed to do in the mornings to help you out, but I forget what it is because I wasn't willing to do it. But 3 out of 4 ain't bad, yo. Freelojo says, hello everybody, CiottiFPV. Michael D says, happy Whoop Wednesday, CiottiFPV. And Gangly Gang, Northern Tier FPV says, just got a set of the 27,000 kV flows, going to be a super BLV420. Howdy gang and CiottiFPV. Bob Bruce says, hey, how's every? Rockcrawler says, hey, CiottiFPV and everyone. Michael D says, since you have the Flow 0802 motors in hand, any tips on removing the C-clip on them? I had a heck of a time getting one off. When I couldn't find it, I decided to not attempt the others. Let's see what the C-clips look like on these little guys. Some C-clips are easier to remove than others. I have gotten pretty good at it over the years. Some C-clips are a real pain in the ass. Yeah, these are the kind of a pain in the ass ones. Because this is a lot smaller of a C-clip. My main recommendation is going to be to take a flat-bladed, really thin-tipped flat-bladed screwdriver, and you're going to use that to push the open, so the C-clip like this, and your screwdriver is going to come in like, well, it's going to be what? All right, so C-clip is like that, your flat-bladed screwdriver is going to come like this, and it's going to push this back a little bit. So the motor shaft is here. It's going to push it like that. It's not going to push it all the way off, but it's going to push it back like that. And then what you're going to do to prevent the C-clip from flying off, you're either going to do all of this in like a Ziploc plastic clear bag. That's the easiest way to make sure that you don't lose the C-clip. Unfortunately, trying to do this inside of a plastic bag is a little bit of a nightmare. Like it's a hard thing to do, and then to have a layer of plastic in the way, you know, nobody likes that. Everybody wants to raw dog it, you know what I mean? Right? So yeah, there's that. The other way, the way that I prefer to do it, is to just basically put my finger over top of the motor base. man, I hate when I twist these wires up and like one of the wires goes rogue and doesn't want to twist up all nicely. Hold on. There we go. Nope, nope, nope. Stop it. Stop that. There it is. Yeah, close enough. I couldn't get it. Yeah, so you get it started. You push the C-clip off a little bit to get it started, and then you put your finger, your left like index finger maybe, over the whole thing, and that's going to hold it on. And then you just try to dig under there with really fine-tipped tweezers and just pry the back of the C-clip out. And as long as your finger is in there, when it tries to shoot off, it's hard to do. I gotta be honest. It took me a long time to figure it out. Me trying to describe it is just not, it's just not gonna get it all the way across on how to do it. Luckily, these motors are pretty cheap. It's great that they're cheap. Unfortunately, I wish they were a little bit more available. It's more of a stock problem than a money problem. But yeah, those are my two tips. Initially I did it in a plastic bag, and that just became so frustrating that I decided that if I didn't learn how to do it without the plastic bag, I was just never going to do it again. I mean, if you just never want to do it again, then, you know, just buy extra motors. Always buy 2 sets of motors, and then you can just swap them on. But it is possible. It is absolutely doable. You just need to be a little bit methodical about it. Man, I cannot get these wires to wind up properly, and it's driving me absolutely crazy. So to get the wires to wind up properly, straighten them all the way out. Oh, do they have 2 of the wires switched? Is that why it's not? That's why. They've got 2 of the wires switched. Because they use the red wires for like clockwise and the black ones for counterclockwise. Okay. Well, just in case you were wondering, to get the wires to line up perfectly, what you're going to do is from the plug, grab them, and then pull your finger out. And you got to hold tension on them, and then you just twist the plug up. Twist the plug, twist the plug, twist the plug, and that'll wind them perfectly. Because you've got that tension on them. But with this particular one, yeah, there's one wire that crosses over like crazy. So it's never going to be perfectly wound all the way to the stator base. Ever wonder what obsessive compulsive disorder looks like? I actually do not have OCD. I just have OCD tendencies. They put very long leads on these things. You could shorten those up a little bit if you wanted to save a little bit of weight. It won't save much weight though. I've done that once or twice, and I've been very sad by the lack of weight savings. Rockcrawler says DRL streaming on YouTube after CiottiFPV tonight for anybody who watches. That's pretty slick. I might actually watch that. Fractalize says, do you have a video on completely tearing down a motor? I don't think I do, but there's really not a whole lot to tear down. It's either a C-clip on the bottom or a screw. So you pop that off, and then the motor bell comes off the stator base. If it's a 5-inch motor, you can, in some cases, remove the bearings from the stator. But that's it. None of the micromotors you're going to be able to remove the bearings from. And yeah, that's really all that you can tear apart. On some motors, you can desolder the motor leads from the stator, but really that's about it. There's really nothing else to take apart on a motor. Bob Bruce says, I got my PlayStation today, just waiting on the Thrustmaster now. Very, very cool. Espander says, what's the best 65mm whoop frame? Meteor 65, almost unquestionably. Technically speaking, the Cockroach 65 frame will allow you to put your PIDs a little bit higher and reduce your filtering a little bit more for a slightly better flight performance. The problem with the Cockroach frame is it's a little bit heavier, and that doesn't really help with flight performance. I shouldn't have said flight performance a second ago. I should have said PID loop performance. Less filtering and higher PID gains give you better PID loop performance. In terms of flight performance, I kind of think that the Meteor 65 frame being lighter weight will give you a little bit better flight performance, just because the quad will be lighter. And man, do these tiny whoops like to be as light as possible. So yeah, those are really the two. The other cool thing about the Cockroach frame is that it has a lifetime warranty. That's pretty slick. The Meteor 65 frame is so durable that you're never going to break the damn thing, so it's got a built-in lifetime warranty. So yeah, I don't know anybody that's running, myself included, other than just on this rig. I don't know anybody that's still running the Cockroach frame. Everybody has gone to the Meteor 65 frame. So yeah, that should tell you everything you need to know. WeBleedFPV says hello. Good evening, CiottiFPV. Good evening to all. What's up, Zotek? How are you? Alec Dvornik says good to see you, CiottiFPV. Good to see you as well, brother. And Michael D says, thank you, good sir. I will try again after I find replacements to have on hand. I'm a pro with the normal E-clips. First time I encountered the newbie drone C-clips. PayPal. Let's see what we got over here. Michael D with a $10 PayPal. Thank you, brother. He says, thank you. I thank you. And you thank me. Me thank you. Jonathan JY is joining the Patreon. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the Gangly Gang. Jonathan's getting in on some giveaways. I hope you win. We just did giveaways this last Monday, but we're doing them again, not this coming Monday, but the one after that. I do giveaways every other Monday. 4 giveaways every other Monday. 3 of those giveaways are for patrons at the different tiers. So Jonathan's going to get himself in on 2 giveaways a month. Why are you selling the butterfly brace again, Flying Miata? Everybody knows that it doesn't do anything. Car things. And John Roast joined the Patreon even before this live stream began. Thank you, John. Much appreciated. You guys are absolutely killing it. Is that a thing that people say anymore? And somebody did a We Bleed FPV order and used my affiliate link. Thank you for that, whoever that was. Doesn't tell me who. You guys might have seen on the intro roll that the FedEx guy delivered tires for me. That's kind of fun. The Mazda needs. I did not. This is the second time in a row I've done this. I did not rotate the tires front to rear anywhere near as often as I should have, and the front's just absolutely cooked. I run fairly aggressive camber and toe in the front because it used to be an autocross car, and I just really like the way that it turns in with a lot of negative camber and a bunch of toe out. Camber is when you look at the car head on or the wheels tilted like this. So when you corner and the body rolls over, when you go around a corner, that camber, as long as it's not excessive camber, we're talking like 1 to 2 degrees, in some cases 2.5, 3 degrees, depends on the front suspension geometry, but usually around 2 degrees of front negative camber is what you want, so that when the car leans into a corner, this tire, the outside front goes flat, and then you've got the full width of the contact patch. All these assholes you see with like 6 degrees of negative camber, they're just children, and you should beat them with a stick. What you want is, like I said, 1 to 2 degrees, in some cases 3 degrees. But with a decent front suspension geometry, you want right around 2.5 degrees. And what that does is when you're cornering, it actually saves you. So like back in the days that I used to autocross all the time, running 2 to 2.5 degrees of camber would actually get me better tire wear, because I always, not always, but like every single weekend I had the car sitting up on the, cornering as hard as it could. With zero camber, when you would autocross a lot, you would actually wear out the outside of the front tires before the inside. And then you add some camber and you get really good wear across the face of the tire. Well, now that I'm not autocrossing and I'm mainly just driving in a straight line down the street, because of, even 2 degrees of camber, it just wears the inside of the front tires. And then toe, if you were looking at the car from above, toe out is putting the front tires like this. This is zero toe, this is toe in, this is toe out. And And toe is what's really hard on the tires. It's actually worse than camber because toe is scrubbing going down the road, right? Like camber, it'll just roll down the road. But toe literally scrubs the tires down the road. But toe out makes a car really nervous. So when you think about turning the steering wheel, it just goes. It's really kind of fun. When I get these tires put on, I'm going to have it aligned. And I'm actually going to tell them to take the toe out. I'm going to go to 0 toe. Just because, you know, I may never autocross again. I hope to, but yeah, there's a good chance I might never again. So it just makes no sense to keep ruining front tires. Although, all things being considered, these front tires that were on it, that are shot now, had been on it for, Christ, 4 years. So that ain't bad. But yeah, I've got 2 replacements and away we go. I did eventually rotate them front to rear a month or 2 ago. So the ones that are really gone are on the rear of the car. The ones that are now from the rear onto the front have like a good chunk of life left. So I'm actually going to reverse them again when they mount the 2. I'm going to reverse them again and have these fresh ones put on the front of the car because they'll be a little bit more grippy. Fresh tires are always a little bit more grippy. And that's, yeah, with a front-wheel drive car, that's what you want. More grip up front, less in the rear. Titan says, what internal resistance is your 1S batteries on, and should it be the same as bigger batteries? I don't charge the little tiny whoop batteries on the big boy charger very often to see what the internal resistances are. I just kind of fly them, and like it becomes pretty obvious when there's one that's on its way out. Like when there's one battery that the internal resistances are going ballistic on, you can just feel it. It just feels terrible. With these little batteries, we do tolerate higher internal resistances than we do with the big boy batteries. I mean, hell, right out of the box, the 1S batteries have a much higher internal resistance than you've probably ever seen from a big battery. So yeah, we definitely tolerate higher IRs on the tiny whoop batteries. My rule of thumb used to be 100, anything above 100 and just throw it away. But by that point, like, you're going to know. You're going to put that battery in, you're going to stab the throttle, and it's going to give you like a low battery warning. So, I mean, you'll know when it's time for the batteries to go away. I don't really rely on the internal resistances. You know what's a good thing to do? When next time you buy a set of batteries, leave one out. Leave one battery completely out. And then if you have a couple of batteries that you suspect might be failing, the one battery that you leave out, make sure it's at storage voltage. And then, yeah, when you have a battery or 2 that you think are kind of shit in the bed, charge up your control battery and then charge up the suspect batteries and fly the control battery first, hammer the throttle, look at where the voltage drops down to, and then fly the suspect batteries, and it'll be super obvious. Like, when you get a set of batteries and you run them all, and they gradually get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and you can, like, not notice that they're all so bad. So by leaving one battery out as your control battery, it'll help you down the road when you're like, does this rig fly like shit now, or is it just me? Freelojo says, if you tow the drive wheels in a degree, you will launch straighter. That's true. Yeah, tow in is more stable. I don't care about launching, so it's about turning the steering wheel rather than going straight for me. And I prefer 0 toe to tow in because I don't. Yeah, I mean, unless you've got until you have a car with like 500, 600, 700 horsepower, you know, you should be able to drive the damn thing in a straight line on launches. So it typically doesn't matter. But yeah, it's absolutely true. Tow in makes a car, basically one of the big things that tow in does is it makes a car self-center. So you don't have to like keep your hand on the steering wheel as often. This is why from the factory, usually they have a touch of tow in. 0 toe is the jam, though. Freelojo says, it looks like I'm going to have to build 2 tiny lifter clones. Why 2? Why not just 1? Kevin James says, toeless man has no balance. Cold Front and Penguin says, It wouldn't let me change my display name on Patreon. Anyway, my question is, with my Mobula 7, what change in beta, I think that means Betaflight, will let the motors have a lower idle so when I dive, it stays on apex better? I don't know what on apex better means, Penguin. Anyway, my question is, with my Mobula 7, what change in Betaflight will let the motors have a lower idle so when I dive it stays on apex better? Yeah, tag me again and let me know what you mean by stays on apex better. I have, to me, what an apex is it's the tightest point of a corner. Like if there's a corner like this, the apex is the inside most point that you're gonna aim for. This goes for motorsports and for quad racing as well. Riot9 says on axis better. Okay. Tell me a little bit more about the problem, Penguin. I think I maybe know what on axis means, but Penguin says, so that when I lower the idle all the way down, the whoop falls better. We're getting closer. When you say falls better, what does that mean? Like, tell me what it's doing wrong, and I'll tell you how to fix it. C27 says, hope you're having a great day. Thank you, brother. I hope you are as well. Jason Black says, have you ever thought about writing a book about tiny whoops? Nah. Big projects like that, it's... So I talked to Christian Malika quite a bit when he was writing FPV flight dynamics, and I've known in my lifetime a couple people who've written books, and my God, the time commitment is just absurd. I've had this weird fear, and I have nightmares about like huge projects. It's very weird. I've had it for my entire life. So yeah, big projects just freak me the fuck out for some reason. The other big problem with writing like something, and like a big project like that in terms of FPV, is that the tech changes constantly. Like Christian's book, FPV Flight Dynamics, like the stuff in there's a good chunk of stuff in the book that will last forever, but a lot of the technical stuff in the book, talking about Betaflight and like specific products, the book is only like 2 years old and it's completely out of date already. So yeah, like a physical thing like that is tough. Also, books, it's almost impossible to make money with books, with publications like that. Christian spent an awful lot of time and money getting that thing produced and published and whatnot, and yeah, we're not really a big enough audience to like break even or make a substantial amount of money. So yeah, it's that would be cool, but I think in 2023 the whole, I don't know, I think for things that don't change as frequently as FPV, I think it makes an awful lot more sense, or for just fantasy, right? I think books are great. But for FPV, man, writing a book is that's tough. That's very, very tough. All right. Cold Frontin says, I know it's a whoop, and it doesn't have a lot of weight, but when I dive a tower or something, the motors are at a higher idle, so it doesn't fall as quick. You've talked about it before. All right, now we're getting there. So, the reason why tiny whoops don't fall as quickly as other rigs is the shit aerodynamic situation that they're stuck in with having the frame. So the only way to get a tiny whoop to fall as quickly as a non-ducted rig is going to be to invert more and use the throttle to drive yourself down. Lowering your and the other thing you want to remember is when you're diving, so this is right side up, right? So you fly up to the object and you basically split S down to dive it. When you're diving, the idle of the motors has pretty much nothing to do with how quickly it's going to fall. If anything, like you sometimes you'll dive perfectly vertical like this, but usually you're actually like this. So technically speaking, the more thrust that the motors are putting out at idle, since there's a little bit of an upward vector to the thrust, technically speaking, a higher idle will pull you down a little bit faster. The problem with a higher idle is that it can pull you out from the object. The easy solution to that is to nose in even more. There's a point where you can nose in, and no matter what, you're going to get pulled into the object, because like, look at the, you're falling down, so the air is getting rerouted like this, and that's going to pull yourself in. So yeah, regardless of what your idle is, if you're trying to dive flat against an object and you're getting pulled away from the object, you always just need to nose forward now. Just pitch down more. And what's cool about doing that is that you see more of the object, right? Like, if you're coming down the object perfectly vertical, your camera is up like this. So the majority of your framing is just of the ground, and the ground barely changes. The object that you're diving next to, that's the cool thing that you want to watch. So by default, you kind of want to pitch over more to put more of the cool looking object whizzing by you at 40, 50, 60 miles an hour in the frame, right? So that you can see it. And if you really need to do that, it's just going to be even cooler looking, because there's just going to be more. I mean, there's a point, like when you get to this point, you can't see the ground at all, and that's scary, right? But you're not going to need to go this far. You're going to need to go like that. So yeah, there's that. Now, to answer the question though about idle speed, there's two different ways to adjust your idle speed, and it's going to depend upon whether or not you've got RPM filtering activated or not. If you have RPM filtering activated, it's called digital idle, and you should have RPM filtering going because it works really well. I'm sorry, it's called dynamic idle rather. They've changed the name a couple times. So this is it here, dynamic idle. The number that you set is multiplied by 100 RPM. You don't really need to worry about that. The good round number here is 30. A dynamic idle of 30 is a really good middle ground. And this little tooltip here has a bunch of really good information about it. Dynamic idle improves control, low RPM, reduces the risk of motor desyncs, blah, 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 blah. Really, really, really good info here. These tooltips are filled with really good info. Read them over and over and over again. Eventually they'll start to make sense. So, if you want the motors to spin at a lower RPM when you drop the throttle to 0, you're going to lower that dynamic idle value down to 25 or down to 20. The problem with doing that is that if you lower it, if you go too low on it, the motors will desync. Well, a motor will desync. It won't ever be all four of them, but one motor will desync, and that'll send it into a death spiral. So I usually don't really recommend that you go below 30. 30 is your best kind of round number for the dynamic idle value. And on a tiny whoop, sometimes 30 is actually too low. Typically not, but sometimes you'll have to run that number higher. The other spot, if you don't have, if you do not have, ignore that. If you do not have RPM filtering, then this field here is where you're going to adjust it. But since I have RPM filtering, this is turned off. See how it's grayed out here? So yeah, and the same kind of deal. It'll have a default number. That default number is usually pretty good. If you want to chase the dragon, you can lower that number a little bit. There's another reason that I usually don't recommend that you lower that number. And it's basically that the lower you ask that idle RPM to come down, the worse your flight performance is going to get. Our non-sensored brushless motors don't make much torque at low RPM. They don't make much power at low RPM. So the lower you set your idle, the lower in this power area that you're going to make it. So you put that value lower and lower and lower, and then if you're at idle throttle and the rig gets hit by wind, the motors are at such a low RPM, they're not going to be able to spin up fast enough to fight that wind. So you can get really poor flight performance. And like diving buildings is a great opportunity to introduce a lot of like swirling winds and turbulence and junk that's going to make the rig want to wobble around. And now here's the other thing, right? Like the motors are so low in RPM, and then some error comes into it, the PID loop fires up and it tries to correct that error. It's going to try really hard to fix that error. It's going to make a big burst of throttle, and that's going to pull you out away from the building. It's actually better to have the number at like a more average kind of value so that the motor is in its power band a little bit better so that it can make quicker adjustments. So it's tough. It's a number that you can certainly play around with. Like I said, if you drop it too far, it's going to start desyncing, so be careful. The default value, though, I got to tell you, is pretty damn good. This is a situation where you want to fly around it rather than trying to change things in Betaflight. Like the Betaflight defaults are just so good, man. 4.3 is just outrageously good. And there's not a whole, it pains me to say this because I've spent so much time trying to find all these little things to improve flight performance, but there are not many things left. Like there are not many things that you can change in Betaflight at this point that significantly improve the flight experience. Like they've taken the feedback from all of us that have been tuning all these little things over the years, and they've made it really phenomenal right out of the box. So there's the full kind of situation there. Yeah, test that out somewhere recoverable, because once you get that number too low, it can cause really weird shit to happen. Right 9 calling out air mode. Yeah, make sure you have air mode on. That's important. You always want air mode on. Jason Black says, best soldering tip brand and solder. Your soldering tip is just going to be whatever your soldering iron uses. And then for solder, MG Chemicals is usually your best bet. The reels look like this. They're sold on Amazon. And you want 37, what is it, 63? Yeah, you want 3763. When you type like solder into Amazon, here, let me show you. Amazon makes a really good recommendation for solder. So after you've hit my Amazon affiliate link, if you just type solder in, these are bad ones, but these are sponsored ones. Always stay away from the sponsored ones. Oh man, these all suck too. Well, no, Kester is good. Kester is really good. Weller is probably good too. Well, wait, look at this. Actually, down below in my description, is it there? Hey, look at that. Down below in the description of all my videos, there's a link to my favorite solder. I hope it's my favorite. Let's see. Ah, this is 6040. MG Chemicals. I actually have changed. And nowadays, I prefer 6337. Is this the one that I recently got? 0.062 diameter. Yeah. 0.062 diameter. And yeah, this is the one. You don't need to get this much. This is too much. This is a half pound here. Get link, text, copy, and replace. All right, there we go. Now all my videos from now on will have the right solder in them. But yeah, MG Chemicals 6337 is really good stuff. The other good stuff is Kester. Good solder is important. Bad solder just sucks. It's just a nightmare. So yeah, spend a couple of bucks and get some decent quality solder. It does make a difference. Rockcrawler says, yeah, what CiottiFPV said. Ram Douglas is loud and clear equals love up in here. Just the tip, just for a little bit, just to see how it feels. All right, friends. Let's stop making dick jokes and we will get some work done here. All right. Hold on. Hold on. I just opened up the Newbie Drone box. Look at that. Order tags, marketing. All right, very cool. Again, shout out to Newbie Drone for sending me a whole bunch of BLV4 stuff and yeah, listening to my feedback and just generally being awesome. Aha! What a shot. All right. Those stickers and cards go into some giveaway winning things. This this spool of MG Chemicals solder took me over 5 years to get through. The smaller spools last a long time, and I doubt that many of you are going to be doing as many builds as I've done over the years. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. It's time to do some things. Somebody else ordered from WeBleedFPV. Good job, friends. Good job. Thank you for hitting the affiliate link button. So yeah, here you go. Here are the Flow 802 27,000 kV motors. Let me cut this off with my handy little Strix X-Acto bladey jib jab, because this is a cool little case that I think I'm going to keep. And there it goes. All right, cool. And here's a fresh BLV4. Get out of here. Come on. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to nicely cut the top of this off. Oh boy, that was not very nice. Ram Douglas says, more things. More things indeed. So I guess I should use the rolled pin PH2.0. Yeah, okay, they pre-soldered it on. So we are going to use the Newbie Drone rolled pin clear PH2.0. You could technically get a little bit better flight performance by swapping this out to a solid pin PH2.0, but if you're going to solder on a different connector, it should be a BT2.0 connector. So don't do that. Don't spend the time swapping out a rolled pin PH2.0 for a solid pin PH2.0. Spend your time swapping out to BT2.0, and I'm going to show you why towards the end of this live stream. The difference in performance is just outrageous. It's really a sight to behold. So just getting a couple of these motor wires kind of rolled up here, and this one is of course not cooperating, so let's do the trick. Take this. Alright, there we go. That's looking a little bit better. Nope, still being a jerk. Stop being a jerk! Am I the only one? Expander says, why bother with PH2.0 at all? because I titled the stream Plug and Play, and I want to show folks who aren't willing to solder the kind of performance that they can get from these motors with a fully plug and play kind of setup. I know that doesn't really apply to most of you, but it applies to somebody. And yeah, I try sometimes to include everyone, not just us freaks that are willing to customize everything. Look, FPV is not just for us freaks. I mean, if you're going to stay in it for any serious amount of time, I think it kind of is, but yeah. Ramdago says, open the packet in a different way equals vroom vroop. I'm going to run it over? What's that mean? What's vroom vroop mean? Alright, this one's giving me trouble too. Let's just get this going here. Vroom vroop, bitches! I think I like vroom vroop better than vroom vroom. Fiverr notification. What's up, Fiverr? If that was one of you, thank you for booking me over there. All right, cool. We got those all set. I am going to do... So, again, me showing you how to swap this over solderless is mainly for folks that are going to just buy the bind and fly. And the bind and fly is going to have this T antenna pre-mounted into it and like good to go, and you're not going to want to screw around with this. That's fine. For me, I'm going to switch this T antenna out because I'm never going to push range and need the T antenna, and just to use a little simple single dipole like this saves almost a gram. So you guys don't really have to worry about this. I'm just going to do this because I'm a crazy person. I have extra of these little dipoles because I've had a couple of these things shit the bed on me, and I have kept the little extra antennas. So yeah, nobody really needs to worry about this. I'm just telling you this so that you know what's going on. But for 99% of problems, just leave the T antenna. All is right with the world, and yeah, you're good to go. So we've got the AIO, and the antenna on the bottom here is kind of bent up, so let me straighten that out a little bit. And I'm going to tuck it in between the battery leads and the USB port. And now we're going to grab the little rubber grommets out of the container here. These are Newbie Drones rubber grommets. I think I prefer Betaflight clear rubber grommets, but again, to emulate I bought the bind and fly, and I'm going to switch the motors experience, I'm going to use these. And these have been totally fine. I've used these Newbie Drone rubber grommets a ton, and they perform completely fine. So let's get these guys on here. And come on. Yeah, so I'm doing a couple subtle things to decrease the weight of this rig. One of the biggest problems in terms of hardcore flight performance of the Newbie Drone Acrobee is just kind of how heavy it is. So I'm just doing a couple really subtle small things to make this thing a little bit lighter weight, because I have kind of impossible standards, and yeah, I want it to perform as good as possible so that I'm not as hard on it as I usually am with products that don't perform absolutely as well as like the most hopped up insane build that I have in my personal collection. So You don't have to do these things. You certainly can if you want. I don't know where you would get one of these little dipole antennas from. They might be on Newbie Drone's website. I mean, to be honest, the extra weight of the T antenna is pretty minimal. I mean, technically, you could just unplug the T antenna. It's got the other antenna on the bottom, and that's going to work totally fine, especially just for flying around the house. So, yeah. There's that. Okay, so real quick disassembly of this BLV3 rig. And the motors that I have on here are tinywhoop.com 0802 30,000 kV motors, which is why I had a little motor limit in Betaflight there. These motors make crazy power, and maybe we will pop these motors on tonight to get a little bit of a comparison. I doubt it, though, because with these motors you have to hand solder on these connectors, which is like kind of a silly amount of work, and I don't really recommend it, if I'm honest. So I don't think we'll do that. But in fairness, that's what I, just so that you know what I'm removing. All right, so here we go, and this BLV3 is now going to live on the rest of its life as a backup for the tiny lifters. This is a Runcam Nano 3 inside of a Modula 6 canopy. This is one of my favorite camera and canopy setups. We're going to weigh this and compare it to the McStinky kind of setup. But for right now, let's get these motors off of here. Spander says, I've recently switched my Whoop and all lipos to BT2.0, and oh my god, the difference is pretty huge. Yeah, it's really, it kind of, when you do it, you're just like, oh my god, why the hell did I wait this long? Like, that's, I've never heard anybody that's done the switch that hasn't been completely blown away. Like, the PH2.0 is just... And, like, to be honest, especially on this BLV4 board, I'm going to switch the connector over later. It's very easy because they put the solder pads all the way on the outside of the board. So, like, even if you're not good at soldering, it's pretty easy. It is kind of small, I will admit. But still, the fact that it's not through holes and they put it on the outside edge of the board, they've made it fairly simple for kind of anyone to be able to figure it out. And I'm going to give you guys the ultra close-up view later when I do it. But for now, let's keep trucking on a solderless upgrade to this thing. If you have the AIO, if you have the bind and fly, you're not going to have to do any of this stuff. You're just going to have to, do what I'm doing right now. You're going to have to unscrew your 20,000 kV motors that it came with. You're going to have to unplug them like I just did. Super simple. And then you're going to have to unscrew them like this. You're going to be able to leave your AIO and your camera all in the middle, though. So literally all you're going to have to do, let me actually do that. Let me put the AIO into this frame here to give you more of that sort of experience in case you're new to FPV. So this is your AIO. AIO stands for all-in-one. It is already going to be in your frame, and there's no reason to remove it. So it's going to be in here. This antenna is going to be down there. This guy is going to be here. And yeah, it's going to look something like that. But you're also going to have your canopy and camera on top of here. And you know what? For the initial test, I'm going to put a goober canopy on. For the initial testing, I'm going to put this guy on. We'll weigh it. We'll fly it. And then I'll swap it over to a McStinky. So yeah, we'll do a complete OEM BLV4 Acrobee at first here, and then we'll start modifying it save a little bit of weight, make a bunch more power. Actually, I guess we're not doing completely stock because I'm immediately swapping the motors. So, yeah, we're going immediately to the 0802 27,000 kV motors, which is fine. Because by this point, you will have already flown it and you'll know what to expect from the OEM 20,000 kV motors. So, for my single little antenna here, for the bottom antenna, I'm just going to stick it out the back like this. And then for this other antenna that I've swapped on here in place of the T antenna, I'm just going to run this up one of the holes in the canopy here. So I'm going to take it like this. And again, if you got a bind and fly, you've got your Immortal T antenna, it's mounted up real nice, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about this. This is just me being a crazy person, if I'm honest. Okay, so there we go. This is your video antenna with the big chunk of shrink wrap on it, and then this is my replacement, my lightweight replacement for an Immortal T. Let's grab some regular old hardware. Okay. And get this thing bolted down. The front screw does not integrate with this canopy at all. Oh, and you know what? The McStinky mount is going to might actually interfere with the front of this thing. So that's kind of good. We're going to take a look at that in a little bit. Let me get this set here for you. All right. And if I'm going to do this, I can lower this down a little bit to get my shadow out of it a little bit more. All right, so there we go. Cool, so that is nice and snug. Don't over tighten these. You're tightening these into plastic. So make sure that you don't over tighten. Just be gentle. You'll feel it when it bottoms out. No reason to be gorilla dicking these things in. Okay, so here's the rear. And one more. My goober canopy here is a little bit melted. Don't you worry about that. There we go. Nope. I paused just now because I thought I forgot to plug the camera in, and it's almost impossible to plug the camera in once you've put the canopy on. I thought I was going to have to rip this thing back apart, but then I realized that I did remember. All right, we are good to go. So this is what, if you've bought a bind and fly, you're going to be looking at. Cool. This is a representation of what your starting point is after you've removed the motors, of course, which I kind of showed you. I just want to pull this down a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right, so yeah, we got one antenna out the back. We got one coming in vertically. So now what you need to do is screw your 27,000 kV motors down, and I'm going to give you guys the overhead because it's just putting screws in. You can just leave your screws in the motor bases, and all will be right with the world. When you're removing your other motors, if you put the red in the same spot as the red, you're not going to have to reverse your motor direction. If for some reason you screw that up, I'm going to show you how to fix it here. I'm going to purposefully screw it up, and I'm going to put the red cabled motors on the right side and the black ones on the left side. That way I absolutely have to check motor direction in. Plus, I don't know I don't know where the red and black are supposed to be. I think I remember motor 1 being red and then motor 4 being red. They're diagonally opposed to one another. But don't quote me on that. And like I said, if you screw that up, it's no big deal. I'm going to show you how to fix it very quickly in Betaflight. So yeah, just get the motor centered up here and crank these guys down. Again, no reason to absolutely hammer these down. It's just a little tiny whoop. Snug them up and everything will be fine. All right, so I'm going to do another red one here. So that was motor 2 that I just did. Now I'm going to do motor 1, which is the right rear. If you pretend like you're going to drive the quad and sit inside of it. And Freelo just says clone because 1 and none is, and I've gone through half pound of solder in the last year and a half. Oh Jesus. Yeah, 2 is always better. Remdago says silverware equals do I need to install software? I think so, yeah. I think like you have to install silverware in order to get it. Unless the rig already has it, then you're good. Spanner says, you know, we got that. Cold Front and Penguin tagged me. He says, thanks for the info. I'll play around with it later. I have a nice tree in the backyard. Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, I think you're going to end up with that, with it back up at 30. Just because it works really well at 30. But yeah, no reason to not mess around with it as long as you're in a somewhat recoverable spot that you're flying. I would not dump that value down to like 20 or 15 and then go hammer like a big building downtown. That's a good way to lose. That's a good way to one-way whoop it. One-way whoop, for those of you that have just gotten into this hobby, is a description of when you send a tiny whoop out and it only goes one way. It goes out and doesn't come home. That is a one-way whoop. What's cool is whoops are analog, so you're usually recording DVR in your goggles, so you should have evidence of the one-way whoop that you can then upload to the internet, call it a one-way whoop, and lots of people will watch it because lots of people love watching others lose their shit. So yeah, if you do lose your shit, make sure you save that DVR, because at least you can get some love on the internet from lots of other people that have lost quads. All right, last motor. And then we're going to plug them in. And we'll get this thing into Betaflight and take a look. This, I think this AIO should be all set up and good to go. I think it has the same tune that the BLV4 comes with on it. So that'll be kind of cool. I'm curious as to whether or not that tune will work with these higher KV motors. My hunch is that it won't, but you never know. William Loesch says, running VTX off battery leads and cam from VTX. Never seen such noise. Yeah, you want to get your camera and VTX ground on the same pad, or you want your VTX ground to be clean, and then you can use the you can run the camera into the VTX ground. But best possible case is to double solder your camera and VTX grounds to the same pad, unless that's a noisy pad. ESCs are a very noisy source of electricity, so yeah, it's never recommended to, unless it's a really good quality VTX, it's never recommended to power and or ground your VTX directly from the ESC. All right, so to plug these guys in, you just plug them in. There you go. Just take a look at where the pins are, and then look at where the pins are in the connector, line them up, and be careful plugging these in. If you plug it in crooked, you can bend the pins, which is just a huge pain in the ass. It's not the end of the world, but it's just super annoying, so try to not do it. Yeah, we're going to run these wires this way. All right. And plugs that way. I basically like get it plugged in initially with my fingertips, and then I use my fingernail on the ledge of the plastic to push it all the way down. And you just want to kind of rock it back and forth to really make sure that it seats. When these plugs are fresh, it's very obvious, but once you've plugged and unplugged these 10, 15, 20 times, it really loosens up quite a bit, so pay attention to that. The biggest thing, though, is just to, like, the plugs are not the same top and bottom. Like, you can't reverse the plug 180 degrees. So just look at the plug and look at the little receptacle on the board. I guess I could have used the word socket. And sometimes they're a pain in the ass and you want to scream. Just take a breath. You cannot work on these things frustrated. You will break them. Tiny whoops will not survive any man anger. So take a deep breath. Walk away from it if you have to. Because, yeah, if you start to manhandle a tiny whoop out of male frustration, 100% of the time you will break it. And it'll only feel good for like 0.1 of a second. And then the regret will immediately set in. There we go. Motors are plugged in. I did them red on one side, black on the other. You don't have to do that. You can put the red ones where the red ones came from, and that way you won't have to do the thing I'm about to do. So there we go. That's how you install a set of motors. Now, we've already saved a little tiny bit of weight. Let's throw it on the scale. The weight that we saved is from removing the Immortal T antenna. I don't have propellers on it. I'm going to use Newbie Drone's bi-blades initially because I don't have any of the ASI props. The ASI props are so flimsy that like within 3 seconds of my flying they explode. These are the Newbie Drone Venom bi-blades, and they're a great propeller as long as you have a 0.99 millimeter drill bit that you can get from me or from Amazon to drill these things out. Without drilling them out, these are going to fit too tight on the motor shafts. They're going to get stuck on there, and you're going to hate your life because you're going to either bend the motor shaft in the process of getting them off, which ruins the motor, or you're just not going to be able to get them off. And yeah, sometimes you need to be able to get your propellers off. To be honest, even drilled out to 0.99 on these motors, these fit pretty damn tight. So I'm probably still going to need the tinywhoop.com prop puller. This thing is genius. They sell out every single time they come in stock. Jesse's trying really hard to get enough for all of us, but you're more than likely going to have to be patient for them. You always want to make sure that you push your propellers all the way down on the shafts of the motors. If you don't do that, you will bend motor shafts. It's really, really, really important to do that. It's like the one thing that you can do to make the motor shafts more durable is to make sure that your propeller sits all the way down. The way that I do it is I put my thumb and forefinger in these little slots here where the wires are not coming out. So I put 2 fingers here to hold the motor bell, and then I just twist the propeller on. Just twist, 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 and that'll allow you to push it all the way down onto the motor shaft. I think the quad is set up props out of the box. Don't quote me on that though. I'm not totally sure. Mine is set up props out. There are tons of videos here on YouTube about props in versus props out. You do want props out. It does perform better on low authority tiny whoops. So there we have it. Green and purple Acrobee BLV4 on plug and play 0802 27,000 kV motors. Let's see what it weighs. On PH2.0 for the time being. We are going to change that at some point tonight, though. Our dry weight is... Man, it's still kind of heavy. 23.6 grams. To give you a point of reference, the Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop, which is a Mobula 6 ELRS with 0702 32,000 kV motors, Gemfan biblades, BT2.0, and a heavy antenna, a really good but really heavy antenna, is 19.5 grams dry. Dry means without the battery. So, yeah, and that's this guy right here. This is what I personally fly. This is the best flying Tiny Whoop ever. This newbie drone Acrobee has a heavier motor. It's an 0802 instead of a 702. It's got a heavier canopy and camera setup. It's got a heavier frame. The Cockroach frame is a little bit heavier than this Meteor 65 frame. And this Mobula 6 ELRS all-in-one flight controller is a little bit lighter weight than the newbie drone BLV4. So that's where the extra poundage is coming from here. So let's get this into Betaflight real quick, and we'll get it bound up, and we'll put it up in the air as is on PH2.0, and we'll see what's going on. See what you can expect completely plug and play from a BLV4 with the new 27,000 kV motors. BLV4 ELRS accelerometer is not calibrated. All right, let's take care of that. I'm going to put this thing somewhat flat on the desk and click calibrate accelerometer. Give it a second. And now we're good to go. Okay. Ports are going to be already set up. Configuration, we're going to change the name. 3.2K on the PID loop frequency because it's a BMI 270 gyro. We're going to turn on these two switches here for the D-Shot beeper. This allows you to have a beeper on the quad by using the ESCs. LED strip is already on, that's great. Air mode is permanently on, that's great. And OSD is on, so we're good to go. Let's click save and reboot. Hey! Stop playing drums on the desk right in front of the microphone, you donkey. Hold on. Let me go to setup. Let me go to setup, and I want to make sure that nose down is nose down, nose up, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right. Okay, so we're good. So we're good to go in the configuration tab. Power and battery. I've been raising this up a little bit, just 0.1. So 2.9 to 3.0. 3.2 to 3.3. It's just a little bit nicer on the battery that way. Save that. Failsafe, I like to change this guard time on really small rigs like this to 3 seconds instead of 1 second. Doesn't matter. It's a tiny whoop. It's not going to hurt anything. And having that up on 3 seconds is going to, yeah, potentially give you a little bit more leeway to not lose the rig. Presets we don't have to mess with because this AIO comes with pretty much everything good to go. And yeah, so this has the bind and fly PIDs already set up on it. So a couple really simple, stupid little things that I'm going to do. You don't need to do that. That's silly. Jitter reduction, I like to turn this up just for a little bit more stick smoothing. That's just a personal choice. You don't need to do that. I don't like this VBAT sag, so I'm going to turn that off. And I do like Dmax, so I'm going to turn Dmax up to a value of 1. And yeah, those are just things that I like to do. They're not going to really affect much of anything for you guys. Actually, I'm going to turn this feed forward down a little bit. Again, these are just personal things. You don't need to change any of these. I'm going to put my rates in. This is important. And loads of expo. A little bit of throttle expo. And I'm going to put the midpoint at, I'm going to take a guess at 0.35. Save that. Your rates are your rates. Don't just copy my rates. That doesn't really make much sense. And I'm going to leave this right now. RPM filtering is not turned on. They're using 3 dynamic notches, and I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave this dynamic notch setup here as is. Q factor is how narrow. Higher value makes it narrower. Yeah, so this, they're pretty wide. They're 3 pretty wide dynamic notches. Also, this gyro, there's a lot of gyro filtering here. I'm going to turn off gyro low pass 2, and I'm going to move this gyro filter multiplier slider all the way up. Simple kind of thing, but... Cold Front and Penguin says, how do I calibrate the accelerometer properly if the USB port is under the board? Basically, it's hard for me to show you, but you plug the USB in, I'll leave my finger here, and then you just hang it, you just put it on the front of the table. And then you just like put your finger, yeah, if this is the edge of your table, you'll be able to get this much on the table, and then you just kind of, yeah, you just kind of put it flat like that with the USB hanging off the side of the table. Okay, so we're going to leave here, leave everything else alone. Man, they're doing a lot of D-term filtering. Serial UART crossfire. I have to change this to TAER. Again, that's just a personal thing for me. I'm going to move this stick high and stick low threshold. I'm going to add a little bit of deadband on RC and on yaw. And I'm going to move this smoothing up to 100. The smoothing is just more stick smoothing. That's just a personal kind of thing. No reason for anybody else to do that. Or the rest of this stuff, to be honest. The channel map you might need to change. Most people don't, though. Most people are on the regular channel map. Again, this is just individual things for me. Angle mode, we're going to turn off. Horizon mode, we're going to put on aux 2. Again, this is another thing that's just personal to me. Nobody else really needs to do this. The way that the switches come on the rig is totally fine. Flip over after crash. I'm gonna move that to the middle here. Launch control for funsies. We're gonna put that aux 2 in the middle. Beeper mute, stick command disable, no need. Camera control, no need. Black box, it does not have. OSD disable is cool, but no real need for that. LED low is kind of interesting. It turns the LEDs off. Kind of fun. I'll do that right there. And all right, cool. Adjustments, this is a little OSD thing that I do. I'm not going to go over it. I've covered it on videos before. This is my way of removing OSD elements so that if I'm flying with DVR and I want to get footage without the ugly OSD elements in it, I can do it. All right, so this rig does come set up for props in. I set it up for props out just by clicking that button. But then you also need to set the motor direction, which we're going to do real quick here. So, first time plugging it in, we're going to come into motors. Hopefully it doesn't explode. It did not explode. Happy days are here again. So we're going to go into motor direction. We understand the risks. Wizard, start and spin. And then you're just going to touch the center of the propeller, and you'll be able to tell what direction the motors are spinning. Motor 1 is props in. We want it to be props out. Motor 2 is props out. That's good. Motor 3 is props in. We want to switch that. You want to make it match this here, this illustration. All right, motor 3 is now good, and then motor 4 is props out, so we're good to go. Stop motors, close, and I like to check it. I turn this on, and then I just move this master slider up a tiny little bit, and then motor 1 is good, motor 2 is good, motor 3 is good, and motor 4 is good as well. Click this. Here's what the motor idle looks like if you don't have RPM filtering turned on. It's just called motor idle, and 5.5 is a good round number. You can try lowering it, but you start to run the risk of desyncs. OSD is pretty personal to each one of us. I'm going to set, I'm going to do a CLI dump to set my OSD, so don't worry about that. In here on the video transmitter tab in your VTX table, I suggest that you switch low power disarm from on to on until first arm. That's going to work a lot better for you. It's going to make sure that if you fly it around down the street and around the corner and disarm it, you don't completely lose video. That's good to go. Leave the power on 25 if you're playing around in the house. There's no need for more. LED strip is kind of fun. You can play around with this. I hate the Larson scanner and the throttle. I just like to have it on, and I just pick a color. I'm a big purple and black kind of guy, so I turn these two off. Purple and red, rather, and I make one purple and the other one red. And then you hit save, and when you hit save, that's when it locks the changes that you've made in. And I realize I did these backwards, so I'm going to do that one purple and that one red. There we go. Now the top of the rig is red, the bottom of the rig is purple, as it should be. Sensors we don't use, tethered logging we don't use. It doesn't have black box. Here in the CLI, I'm going to turn up PID_SUM. I got to type get PID_SUM. PID_SUM is a really nice way to get better PID loop performance. So in the CLI, you type get space PID_SUM, and after you hit get space PID_SUM, enter. When you hit enter, it shows you the two different PID_SUMs. Regular PID_SUM, which controls roll and pitch, and then PID_SUM yaw, which controls yaw. Right now, you see the allowed range is from 100 to 1,000. So with it at 500, it's at 50%. Basically, your PID loop is only allowed to use 50% of the motor's total power on roll and pitch, and only 40% on yaw. So we're going to change that to be all the way turned up to 1,000. So we're just going to highlight this. We're going to copy it. We're going to come down here. We're going to type set space paste what we just copied. Remove the 500 and type 1,000 and hit enter. And when we do that, it's going to tell us that the PID_SUM limit has been set to 1,000. Now we're going to do the same thing on yaw. Grab that, copy it, come down here, set space paste 400 changes to 1,000, hit enter, and now it's going to confirm it in the same way. PID_SUM limit yaw set to 1,000. Normally you would now just type well, here, we'll do it. You hit save, hit enter, and it resets the flight controller and it locks that all in. You know what? That's all. Ram, what's happening? Why are you spamming the chat? Don't do that. I'm going to grab my OSD stuff. You're not gonna have this. If you have. All right, so let me show you. Let me do this first, and then I'm going to show you how to do it afterwards. If you have a rig that has the exact OSD that you want on it, this is what you're going to do. You're going to connect that rig to Betaflight. You're going to go to the CLI, and you're going to type diff space all. DIFF space ALL. And you're going to hit enter. And now this is going to give you everything that's different. Diff means different. So this is going to give you all of the things on the board that are different from the Betaflight defaults. And there's going to be a big chunk in here that says set OSD. So what you're going to do is highlight all of the set OSDs. This is the first line here, and then you're going to highlight it all the way down to set OSD profile 2, Yours is going to look totally different here, but you're going to highlight all of them. You're going to hit copy, and now you're going to unplug that particular quad. You're going to plug your fresh one back in, and you're just going to paste. You're going to go into the CLI, you're going to paste that big chunk of text, and you're going to hit enter, and it's going to put all those OSD elements in, and then you're going to type save, and now that's going to save your exact OSD from your other rig that you spent all this time getting it to be perfect and in the right spots and the right fields and values on your fresh rig. You can also do that when you update Betaflight versions, right? So that you don't have to reset all your OSD stuff. What I do is I have a little text document on my desktop, and on that text document for each one of my rigs, I type, you know, newbie drone, tiny whoop, whatever, and then I put the date, and then I do that diff all, and I copy the whole damn thing and drop it into that text document. At this point, Betaflight is completely set up. If you bought a bind and fly, you didn't need to do any of that stuff. You're more than welcome to, but you don't need to do any of that. All you need to do is what I'm about to do here, which is bind it. So you're going to get your transmitter, you're going to power it up so that it's ready. And now on the quad, you're going to plug it in 3 times. There's a little blue light in the front right corner. And you got to try to get that blue light double flashing. Blink, 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 blink. So you take your battery, you plug it in, and then you unplug it. Once, twice, the third time, that blue light is going to do this right here. Blink, 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 blink. This is now in bind mode. Now you're going to go on your transmitter. Maybe you have an ELRS module. Maybe you have a fancy new transmitter with it built in. You're just going to go to the bind option and say bind. And it's going to take that blue light from double blinking to solid. And now it's bound. That's it. If it won't bind, more than likely the problem is the Acrobee BLV4 ships with Express LRS version 2.5. Your transmitter or your module might have 3.0, or they might have like 2.0 or 2.1 or 2.2. The versions must match. So you can either change your transmitter to be on 2.5 or 2.5.1, or if you're on 3.0, you can, on the product page, there's a hex that you can download, which will change this to ELRS version 3.0. That is really kind of it. I am not happy with how this extra antenna is sitting in here, so I'm just going to fix something real quick. Just bear with me 1 second here. It's just kind of one silly little thing that's bugging me, but I just want to, I don't want this antenna to get all mangled. All right, that's better. That should be fine. All right, so we're now bound. We're good to go. The motors are spinning the right direction. The motors should be in the correct locations. Let's throw a battery in this, and we'll see how it is. This is at full weight. The only thing I did to save a little bit of weight here was to swap out the Immortal T antenna that it comes with to another little dipole antenna. There's really no reason for anybody to do that. That's just me being a creep. It's a strange description of it. All right, here we go. PH2.0 fresh newbie drone nitro nectar gold battery. First, let me just see if it flies real quick. Well, you guys can watch.
Welcome to OpenCX.
There we go. It flies. It's a little angry though. I want you guys to listen. I'm gonna I'm going to blip the throttle, and then I'm going to quickly bring the throttle back down. So what you want to hear from the motors when I do this is the motors to go, right? Because that's what I'm doing with the throttle. I'm just going, what you're going to hear is, that is a sign that your PID loop is a little too aggressive. Let me fly it over here by the camera and... Ready? Listen. Oh boy. Hear it? You don't want that. That could also be a sign that anti-gravity is too aggressive. In this case, that's not what's going on. I've been down this road with this AIO. So, if you put these 27,000 kV motors on it, it looks like... Well, let me try this first. Let me take the D gain, the D max, all the way down to where it was. And let's try that really quickly. It won't do anything, but... Yeah, so that didn't fix anything. So, if you do these 27,000 kV motors, what you're going to do is turn the quad on like that. You're going to take your sticks. The right stick is going to go forward. The left stick is going to go to the left at the same time. So center the left stick and go like that. When you do that, it's going to put your OSD into the menu. In this menu, you're going to take your right stick and you're going to push to the right. That's going to bring you into profile. You're going to go down to simplified tuning. And we just need to back our tuning off a little bit. I'm going to turn D-Max back on because it handles prop wash brilliantly. So I'm going to bring my D-Max back up to 1.0. Here's what you need to do. You need to back off your PID tune. And the best way to do that is with the master multiplier slider. See, it's at 1.6. We're going to move this down with pushing left on the right stick. Let's move it down to 1.4. You're now going to push right on the left stick. Left stick here, your throttle stick, push right. And that's the quick thing to get you into save and exit. You're now going to go down. Sorry, you're going to go down to save and exit. And you're going to push to the right. And that's going to save and exit. And now let's try that. Still doing it. Still hear it? Let's try it again. Back into the menu, right on the right stick, down, down, simplified tuning. Let's take a little bit of D-gain out of it this time. Let's pull the D-gains from 1.4 down to 1.2. Right on the left stick, down, right on the right stick. A little bit better, but still not quite there. Back in, profile, simplified tuning, and take this master multiplier down to 1.2. This will probably take care of it. No, not helping. It might be the PID sum that I added. It might be the filtering changes that I made. Let me put it back into Betaflight, and we'll take a quick look here. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna show you how to put RPM filtering on. Let's see if RPM filtering fixes this. You are gonna go to ESC-configurator.com. You're gonna plug the quad into USB. You're gonna plug the battery into the quad because you need the ESC to be powered here. Up on the top right corner, you're gonna click connect. And then on the bottom right corner, you're going to click Read Settings. It's going to read the 4 ESCs. They are on BlueJ on 48 kilohertz, BlueJ version 0.16. So we are going to come down here to flash all ESCs. You're going to leave it on BlueJ, but you're going to put it on... Ooh, there's a brand new one. Version 0.19.2. And then for PWM, we are going to do 48 again, and we're going to flash it. Let's see if there's any difference between BlueJ 0.16 and... Well, we won't know, because I'm going to turn on... Well, no, hold on. Yeah, I'll put the battery up. I'll put the battery in real quick and see if it... No, I wasn't doing anything on those throttle pumps, Kevin Sumner. Just, I mean, I was making little roll movements to try to line of sight fly it, but yeah. Fractalized says, have you run into video cutting for a few seconds after a crash on the Happy Model 2G4 boards? Mine has been randomly doing it after a crash, giving me snowy picture using a tiny whip small antenna. I have not run into that, but usually that's a sign that you're that the VTX on the AIO is starting to shit the bed. Yeah, so we're just going to really quickly put the battery back in here before we turn on RPM filtering and do those throttle pumps again. And it won't change anything, but it's an interesting little test because we are, I don't know, maybe it'll do something. I doubt it, but there have been some changes to Blue Jay since version 0.16. We're going up from version 0.16 to 0.19. So let's just be ultra patient here. I feel like this is taking longer than it normally does. Come on, ESC Configurator. Am I, let me see if I'm missing any chat comments. I'm not. William Loesch, yeah, I am. Says, installed TBS Unify Pro 32. Sucker is big and the glide frame touches standoffs, which I've covered with tape. I'm getting terrible black lines, video noise once I arm. Should I reposition the VTX? It shouldn't have to do with the position of the VTX. It should more have to do with where you have it wired to. But the Pro 32, I think, wants full voltage. So, it's going to depend on your ESC. I run Acon ESCs, which are really good quality, so I can get away with powering VTXs directly off of the battery leads. Not all ESCs are as clean. First thing to do is just to throw a capacitor on the ESC if you don't already have one on there. It's simple, it's quick, and there's kind of no reason to not do it. Shit, my transmitter's still on. That's why it's so slow. It completely froze. There's some weirdness between ELRS and the ESC flashing. Damn it, and it's like all the way frozen now. So, shit. Alright, I'm gonna have to do that again. So I gotta unplug the battery, I gotta unplug the USB just to let the thing reset. And now I'm gonna do it. Now I'm going to do a better job. Connect. Read settings. This is going to look all kinds of jacked up. That's fine. Flash all ESCs. Blue Jay. Select the version 0.19.2. PWM frequency 48. And flash. Apparently, on an upcoming Blue Jay release, there will be high and low PWM, which will be really, really cool. So yeah, William, that's the first thing to do is just to throw a capacitor on the ESC. That's the easiest and quickest. And then I would look at where your camera ground is, either ground your camera to the VTX. I think you said you already did that. You can also try to put the camera ground on the same exact pad that the VTX ground is on. Sounds like that's the ESC pad. And then if that doesn't work, you're going to power the VTX from your flight controller, and then you can still have the not off of 5 volt, off of a ESC power rating. That's interesting. What? Oh, that's pretty cool. ESC power rating 1S. Okay, neat. Brake on stop, I like turning that on. Beacon delay 2 minutes. Beacon strength, you got to turn that up. Tiny whoop beepers are very quiet. This startup power is turned all the way down, and it's like locked all the way down. That's weird. Rate settings. I have to fix this to reversed. Just because of the, because it got screwed up. Oh, and now that ESC power rating seems to control the startup power. No, it doesn't. Weird. All right, cool. Let's see if the newer version of Blue Jay has any effect on this problem. It won't, but it's fine. It's a super quick test to do. Here we go. Plugging in, powering up the transmitter, and okay, here we go. Come on, connect. Come on. Come on! What? It's not binding. Let's turn it off and on. There it goes. Okay. All right, still doing it. That's okay. We're gonna turn on RPM filtering, and I have a feeling it's gonna go away. I already made a bunch of those changes to the PID tune, but that's okay. We can put those back. Plugging in USB, and now we're gonna hop into Betaflight, connect, and here's how you turn on RPM filtering. Bidirectional D-shot right here, this third slider down, turn that on, hit agree, and now it's on. Like, that is all you need to do to turn on bidirectional D-shot. But I am also going to, why is Zoom running? I am also going to make a quick change in here. Dynamic idle, I'm going to turn that on to 30. And then, again, you don't have to do that, but you certainly can. I'm going to turn these PIDs back up. Nah, I'll leave them turned down a little bit, just for the time being. Save that real quick. We're going to come in here to filter settings, and we're going to take this gyro RPM filter harmonics from 3 down to 1. There's no reason on a tiny whoop to have 3 harmonics. And then the dynamic notch filter automatically goes down to a single notch once you've turned on the gyro RPM filter. So let's see if this fixed the issue. We're going to hit save, and we're going to disconnect. Let's take a look here. Okay, with these higher kV motors, there is more electrical noise and more power and more kind of everything, and that can cause some issues. Usually turning down the PIDs will fix those issues, but not always. So let's see. Come on, little buddy. Arm, you bastard! RPM filter, boot G race. What? What? So those are called arming flags. It is unhappy with something here. Let's take another quick look. I kind of rushed through that. Connect up again. Go to motors. What the fuck? What? What does that mean? I've never seen that before. I'm plugging in power. I'm gonna hit, I understand the risks. Okay, so we've got no motor control whatsoever. Kevin Sumner says, so you're saying there soon won't be anything in BLV32 for us to care about, so we can stop paying the BLV32 tax? Nah, BLV32 will always be better. Michael D says, I wasn't able to turn bidirectional D-shot on my BLV4 either. I got the same errors. Yeah, that's what happened. I had the radio on initially, but then I turned it off, Punani. That happened originally, but then I thought on the first board they sent me, But then I thought that with the second board that they sent me, I was able to get it going. Let's disconnect here. Let's connect here. Read settings. Oh, something's all angry. Let's unplug the quad to let it reboot. Let me try the not so brand new version of Blue Jay. Connect. Read settings. What the hell? Okay, it's angry. Let's come in here and we'll turn off bidirectional D-shot. Okay, let's turn this off. Save and reboot. We're gonna leave that disconnected. We're gonna reconnect power. Or we're gonna try to connect here. Oh, interesting. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe the second one that they sent me I wasn't able to get. I wasn't able to get bidirectional D-shot working. Turning off my transmitter. All right. So ESC1 is not showing up. I think it's because the transmitter was still on. Unplugging USB. Plugging power back on. In. Connect. Read. No, yeah, it won't do RPM filtering. They would have shipped it with RPM filtering if it would have worked. That's a shame. That's a super shame. Especially because yeah, we just have to leave RPM filtering off. Especially because things, I don't know. God damn it. All right, we are props out. Especially because there's no black box on here and the tuning is being a little cranky. Okay, so we've got to go back into filter settings and we might just need to filter this harder. 3 dynamic notches, Q factor of 300. That's a lot of dynamic notch filtering. Gyro, I mean, we'll turn the gyro. Let's put the filters completely back to where they were. Gyro filter slider was at 1.5. D-term filter slider is at 1.0. Let's save that. We're going to come in here to PID profile. I made the dynamic damping less aggressive. Oh, they've got a shitload of anti-gravity in here. Let's cut this anti-gravity in half and save it. That actually might have been the problem. They might have just had way too much anti-gravity. And let's take Dmax back out as well. So this is a less aggressive PID tune than they had from the factory. From the factory, this damping slider was at 1.4, and then this master multiplier slider was all the way up at 1.6. Now it's down at 1.2. Both of them are at 1.2. So let's take a look at this. Let's give this a quick try. That anti-gravity of 10, I didn't notice that. That's too much. So let's see here. And what you want to remember is when you go to a more powerful motor, you don't need as much PID gain. So the fact that we've turned the PIDs down might be completely fine here. I really wish that RPM filtering would work. I hope that they can figure that out. Look at the difference in brightness between OSD on and OSD off. Good lord. Okay. That was weird. All right, we're good. This battery is kind of dead, though. So it was that, I think it was that anti-gravity. All right, so we're going to dive back into it. I feel stupid. I don't know why they had that up at 10, though. That's well, it might be the anti-gravity. It could have been some of the other stuff. Let me kind of confirm that, because I do want to take some of that filtering back out of it. Well, no, let's not do that. Let's leave the filtering in there, and I'm going to try to push the PIDs back up. I'd rather have more filtering allow me to push more PIDs in. Okay. And we're going to do this all in the OSD. So I'm just going to go in the goggles now, and we're going to push the PIDs up inside the OSD. So here we go. Here's your ready to fly BLV4 with 27,000 kV motors. So I'm gonna have to adjust to this. Okay, first thing I want to do is put the PIDs back to where they were, because it seems fine now. So master multiplier, let's put this all the way back up to 1.6. And then D gains, let's put those back up to 1.4. And we're good. All right, awesome. So with the normal configuration, man, this ain't bad. So 0802, 27,000 kV motors on PH2.0. I've got a huge mess over here. This feels really decent, man. Oh my god, this is night and day to the 20,000 kV motors it comes with. Oh boy. Don't mind me, I crash a lot. What's happening? Taking the walk. The walkest walk of shame. Okay. Yeah, absolutely night and day. If you're gonna have a bind and fly BLV4, you need to get these motors. I can already tell you that these motors are a really big deal, and just make this rig so much more flyable. Wow, that was a hell of a recovery there. All that being said, this is way heavier and slightly less powerful than what I'm used to, which is the main reason that I'm just crashing into absolutely everything. Try to chill out a little bit here, get a little bit of runtime out of this battery. So PH2.0 is not the end of the world, but we're going to go to BT2.0 in a minute, and you guys are not going to believe the difference. Maybe you will. Some of you will. Oh boy. Easy, easy, easy. I think I've got a low battery warning, but the OSD keeps flaking out. OSD, come back. 1 minute and 59 seconds runtime. That's pretty low. But that is mainly because of the PH2.0 battery leads. So let's do a couple of things to lighten this up, and then we're going to fly the last PH2.0 battery that I have here, and then we're going to move it over to BT2.0. Jesus, it's 8 o'clock already. This is going to be a long live stream, yo. Because I really want to get all this done in one big hit. Okay, so I'm actually only going to do one thing to lighten this up. I've already changed the antenna, which most of you are not going to be able to do, because you're not going to have an extra one of these dipole IPEX antennas. But what I am going to do is change out this canopy, because I also want to show you the difference between, well, two things. I want you to see the difference in how much duct is in view, but I also want to give you an option for when your goober canopy breaks. The goober canopies are like this big thick plastic, and like especially if you fly them in the cold and smack them into like concrete, they will break. And you can certainly just buy a replacement one, but you might as well save like 0.6 of a gram. And there's got to be somebody with a 3D printer that you can have make you a McStinky mount. This is a McStinky mount. It's either 20 or 25 degrees up tilt. And you can also get these McStinky mounts from me. If you want one, message me. All my contact info is over on CiottiFPV.com. And I'll sell you a McStinky mount. You're going to have to buy some of my stickers. It's just the way it works. But yeah, I'll sell you a McStinky mount. And so you take your Newbie Drone BI camera and you just push it into the McStinky. Just like this. With these mounts, you get to pick different up tilts, which is cool. The Newbie Drone is locked at like 15-ish degrees up tilt. So with the McStinkies, you can do like a racing setup and go crazy, like 35, 40, 45, 50 degrees of up tilt. Or you can stay with the more freestyle, kind of 25, 30 degrees, 20 degrees, lower amounts of up tilt. So you just push it in there until you gotta kind of have it centered up. I just pushed it a little bit too far forward. And you'll see what I mean. It's just there. And that's it. That's how it's held in there. And it amazingly does not come out. So then you hook this guy up here. And the only thing that you're going to have to kind of play around with a little bit is how you have your antennas run, because this doesn't have any provisions to kind of hold these antennas. You're just going to have to mess around with it a little bit to get your antennas going in a way that makes sense. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this video antenna here because that's kind of in a cool little, it's crossing over there. But for this little guy, I'm gonna rotate this little IPEX antenna here sideways, and then I'm just gonna run it down the frame. Well, tempted to just take it off all the way, but no. Let's take this guy and put a little bit of a bend in it here to the side, and we'll just run it out the back. This will be fine. So just like kind of pre-bend it. These cables have like some memory to them, so you can just sort of pre-bend them a little bit and they'll remember where you want them to be. So yeah, just kind of do that. And I mean, you can also, best idea would probably be to glue it to a part of this little McStinky mount, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm in a little bit of a rush. So we're going to plug it in. And I was able to do this so quick because I have an extra one of these BI cameras. Don't be freaked out. We're going to unscrew the front screw, and we're going to put that in the back, and then the struggle begins. It's a little difficult to get the screws through the McStinky mount the first time. You'll get it, but just be patient. It's going to be a little frustrating, I'm not going to lie. So we've got that. We've got this. We're going to take these guys, get your little magnetic screwdriver, hopefully your screwdriver is magnetic, and kind of line it up there, and then yeah, this is admittedly frustrating. Let's try to do it just with our little fingies. Just get it on a little spot. Yeah. Doing it with your little fingies is a much better idea. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll do the outsides first here. If you enjoy this content and want to see me keep on doing this full time, I rely on support from beautiful people like you. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can support me. You can buy yourself something nice from Etsy or from Teespring. You can join my Patreon. That's the best way to support me. You can get on there for as little as 10 cents a day. You can work with me one-on-one on Fiverr. I can help you build better. I can help you tune better. I can help you fly better. Take advantage of somebody with over 6 years of experience that wants to help you. Most people with this much experience don't really want to help you. They just want to fly or work on their sponsorship deals. I want to help you guys have more fun and be better inside of FPV. That's pretty rare. So take advantage of it. I would have absolutely killed to have someone that I could have asked questions to way back when I was first getting started. You can find all the info. It's all on the internet, but it's spread out all over the damn place. And it's interspersed with all kinds of bad info that's going to waste your money and your time. And the bad info is going to make you want to quit. And that's what really pisses me off about the idiots that spread bad info around. Because a lot of people quit. A lot of people quit FPV. And I really think that a big part of the reason is that they get terrible info from people that are 6 days into the hobby but swear to God that their first quad ever is the best one ever built. And in reality, it's a steaming turd because typically your first rig is, because you don't know what the hell you're doing. So yeah, look for folks that have been around the block a couple times. Oh, this front one's being a real bastard. One of the things I found is if you take your little skinny tip tweezers, you can put them through the hole and just kind of stretch it out a little bit. Push and twist, and then hopefully that'll be just enough to get your screw through here. Once you get the screw through, you're good. Like, you never have to remove it. And I think I just got it. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, so McStinky mount going on here. I'm going to have a little bit of extra up tilt because there's a bunch of stuff that this stinky mount is going to sit up on top of on the Acrobee. I don't hate that. I kind of like the up tilt. I'm a fan of up tilt. Not too much, of course, but 25 degrees, 30 degrees is the move, in my opinion. All right, there we go. Maybe Takes Flight says, good evening. Made it for the Tiny Whoop space launch. Spander says, my alarm will sound in 5 hours. Good night, everybody. Bye. Aaron the Tier says, have you tried the 25,000s? They're pretty decent also. There's a big difference. Is there a big difference with the 27s? I have not tried the 25s, but I mean, we could totally just motor limit these down to get them to 20 to 25. I've run 25 and 27,000 kV motors before, and I've definitely been able to tell a difference. It's not night and day. But it's definitely there. It's all about, how much power you want. In my opinion, there's no reason to not get the 27s. If you get the 27s and they're too much, you just motor limit them down to 25. If they're not too much, you enjoy the extra power. So there is a little bit of a problem with the McStinky mount, and it's that it's overlapping a big old UFL, and the camera is sitting in here sideways. So I don't love this. I don't love the McStinky for this platform. So you see there's a big thick UFL plug here, and there's really nothing you can do about that. It's not drastic. It's only off by a little bit. But the problem with your camera being tilted a little bit like this is that you like in the goggles, and I guess you could just put like a little something over here. Yeah, you could just put like a little piece of foam or something like that over here until you got the camera perfectly level. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe just get another goober canopy. Maybe just get another goober canopy. Like I said, it's not drastic, but it is off center. So yeah, I'm gonna say that stick with the goober canopy. So the battery that you just saw is really what to expect here. Yeah, it's a shame, but not the end of the world. I got my wires just kind of hanging out in the middle of nowhere here. Let me show you guys. So this is kind of lightened up as much as, I mean, at this point, here's the deal. Here's the deal. In terms of having this thing be plug and play, the amount of weight that I just saved with the McStinky mount, you can save that same amount of weight by going to the Meteor 65 frame. So yeah, stick with the goober canopy because you're not going to run into this annoying ass issue. And if you want to start saving weight and staying plug and play, go to the Meteor 65 frame. And yeah, I don't know what else you'll be able to do plug and play to save weight. So see, there's a little bit more duct in view now, and I think there's going to be a little bit more up tilt as well. But let's once it's up in the air, I should be able to give you an idea on that. All right. Transmitter's coming up. And there we go. Flight with no OSD for a minute. Well, OSD won't shut all the way off. Can't get the OSD to go all the way off. Oh well, we'll leave it on. Ah! Yeah, a little bit more up tilt with the McStinky mount. Doesn't really feel any lighter. It's a pretty. I can't really feel the difference between less than a gram. So with the tune where it's at right now, we still do have a little bit of prop wash going on. Let's see if we can get that out. Let's see if we bring D-Max back, if that prop wash will go away. Whoops. So you can see we're already getting a low battery warning. That's PH2.0. But it does not fly bad. And wow, this battery's shot already. Jeez, PH2.0. Come on now. I gotta be honest, man. These 27,000s kind of rip, all things considered. 0802 is a big stator motor. I'm surprised it makes this much power on these Newbie drone biblades, but these these did almost as well as the Gemfan biblades, so I guess it's not totally surprising. Here's the deal. We are now going to go to BT2.0, and this is going to make, yeah, you're not going to believe the difference there. That was like a minute of runtime from that battery. This is not a fresh Nitro Nectar Gold battery, though. So the first two batteries were, completely fresh Nitro Nectar Golds. That third one has it's not puffy, but it's not completely fresh. So it's been run a bunch. So that's why we saw such a decrease in the runtime. But here's the deal. I'm gonna put the I don't like this camera sitting sideways like this, so I'm going to put the... Let me see something here. Let me get the scale out real quick. So I have a Modulus 6 canopy and a Runcam Nano 3 that I custom soldered a the Newbie drone connector to, because this camera and canopy setup is a little bit lighter than the Goober canopy, and I want to see how much lighter it is. So let me push these screws out of here real quick. And all right. Admittedly, it's a little bit of a pain to custom solder this lead on, but it is totally doable. 2.2 grams versus 3.1. Yeah, that's significant. This live stream, though, is about plug and play. So I'm going to put this Goober canopy back on because in terms of plug and play, I don't think it's just not a good idea to have your camera sitting sideways like that. There might be a print on Thingiverse that will work, but I don't know, man. The Goober canopies are not that bad. So we're going to stick with it. And we're going to swap over to BT2.0 because I want to show you guys the massive difference in runtime and horsepower that you get from that. So what that means is we need to tear this down a little bit. We're going to take this McStinky mount off. The 3D printed mount thing is kind of annoying too because you've got both of these antennas just kind of hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, I'm not heartbroken that it didn't work out, and the weight savings was really not all that significant, so it's fine. It's fine. Just want to get these pushed through so that they don't fall out. It's such a pain in the ass to get these in here to begin with. All right. Metal Edson says the local guy made a pretty good 3D printed mount. I have a BIN one. Here's a pic. A few posts up in the live stream Discord. All right, hold on. One of the perks to being a patron is you get access to live stream live over on the Discord channel, where you can post stuff for me to look at during the live stream, which is what Metal Dirtskin did. Up in the live stream Discord. Maybe he put it in general? No, where'd you put it? Did he put it in toothpicks and whoops? Where'd you put it, Metal? I want to see it now. I want to see it. He got my hopes up. It's in live stream live. Posted it last week. Ah, okay. Hey, there it is. Oh, I have one of these. That's right. I have one of these mounts. Okay. Yeah. So, you could totally do this mount. This mount is a much better idea. Yeah, there you go. It wraps like that. Yeah, so there you go. I don't think this is going to be quite as light as the McStinky, but it's going to fix that camera sitting sideways thing. And yeah, it's just a nice little mount. And it gives you a little bit of protection. And there's, you could even like take your soldering iron and melt a little hole into it here so that you could run like this VTX antenna through. Yeah, awesome. Good call on that. If you go to Thingiverse, you can like just search for Tiny Whoop camera mount, and I'm sure you'll find it. All right, so we need to unplug the motors and take this AIO out of the frame here in order to solder the different power lead up to it. So, oops. All you missed is me unplugging the motors. So the motors are now unplugged. We're just going to push up. Oh, I'm going to get this last screw out of here. Going to push up on the AIO. Soldering iron is coming up to temperature. The temperature being 700. And, all right. AIO is coming out. So you're going to locate your battery wires, which are right here. This is just basically fun tack here, the blue tack stuff. It's really nice for holding electronics. You just kind of like mold it around the electronic piece and it just holds it vertical in this case. So I'm going to put a little tiny bit of flux on each one of these. You don't have to do this. It just makes your life a little bit easier. All right, so we got some flux there. Solder has flux in the core. So if you don't have a specific flux source, get one. But while you're waiting for it, what you can do is what's called tinning the tip of the soldering iron, which is just to pick up a little bit of the solder on the tip of the soldering iron before you then go in. So put your little spool of solder next to your AIO here. And let me give you guys the zoomed in view. Okay. Focus, you jerk. There we go. All right, so we're doing these two guys here. There's a little bit of flux on them. So you're just going to bring in your soldering iron like this. The smoke means the flux is burning off. That's a good thing. There was the ground, and now there's the positive. That's it. And now you've removed your PH2.0. I'm going to remove my BT2.0 from this other board real quick. Kind of behind the other AA. I'm just rushing to do this. Come on. Oops. Get off of there. There we go. Okay. And now, on these BT2.0 connectors, white is ground and blue is the same thing as red or positive. And the ground goes out, I think. I think the ground was just on the outside. There's probably silkscreen markings. So you hold on here with your left hand, bring the heat in with your right. And what you want to do is just push the exposed bit of the wire down into the little pocket in the side of the board. So the wire is going to heat up first. It's going to start to burn your fingers. And then you just push it down. And be nice and still here. Let your fingers burn. You'll be all right. And then you're going to come in here with the blue one and do the exact same thing. Get it positioned exactly where you want it. You can do this with tweezers, or you can just burn your fingers. And use the tip of the soldering iron to push it down into the little pocket. And just let it cool. Don't blow on it. Just let it cool naturally. And now we are BT 2.0. That's all there is to it. Super simple. Yes, I've done this 11 billion times, which helps, but that is the simplest of the soldering tasks. And if you're going to be into FPV, you're going to have to learn to solder at some point. I hate to break it to you, but plenty of people that are dumber than you have learned how to solder. So you'll be all right, I promise. All right. And I just want to get this wire pointing in the right direction here. I'm just taking a real quick look at the solder joint to make sure it's solid. Yeah, we're good. All right, cool. So now we are BT 2.0'd, and we're just going to put this thing all the way back together. And then you're going to lose your mind when you see the difference in runtime and power that this thing has. Turn off the soldering iron. Punani is off to make some dinner. Kiz Bartlett says, have you seen the new iGal starts 420? Thank you for reminding me of that, Kiz Bartlett. You guys may or may not have noticed on the intro to my live stream, I now have a iGal, IGOW, is International Game of Whoop. It is run by the Suganos. Husband and wife team that are just amazing, and they put on a hell of a competition. It's getting started. It looks like on April 20th, and yeah, they're gonna give me a little sponsorship thing and just basically yeah, they throw my logo up on something or other, and I tell you guys to get off your asses and do the iGow stuff. It's really, really fun. Personally, I don't have the time to film and edit the videos every single week, so I don't really enter. But yeah, you should. You don't really have to do like heavy editing or anything like that. I have such a backlog of edits that I just cannot justify doing iGow edits without doing the other edits first. It's just kind of like a personal thing. So yeah, you guys should do it, man. It's super fun. And every year the prizes get better, and this year the prizes are kind of nutty. Dan told me what a couple of them are, and man, it is worth it. So get in there and do some iGowing, my friends. You're going to love it. It's a super fun contest. It's basically set up like horse. Somebody sets a trick, and then, I mean, like the event organizers set the tricks, I should say, and then you have to do the trick or you get a letter. And so yeah, you can miss a couple and still be all right. But the more you miss, the more letters you get, and eventually you might get kicked out, because the stuff does get a lot more difficult as the competition goes on. So yeah, in the early rounds, you really want to try your best to not miss anything, so that in the end you can have a couple of free passes. Okay, here we go. Where did those screws go? Oh shit, I used them in the they're still in the McStinky mount. 1, 2, 3. The number of weeks that it is depends completely upon like the competition. Like it just keeps going until everybody's out. So yeah, there's not like a set amount of time. It just keeps going and going and going until somebody gets crowned a winner. Typically it goes on for quite a while, but I mean, it depends. Like if everybody bails, then it won't go on super long. You know what I mean? It's all about how dedicated the contestants are and how good the pilots are, and typically the pilots are damn good. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Really amazing thing that Dan and his wife put a ton of time into. It's kind of incredible how much time they put in. So yeah, take advantage if you want. Do whatever you want. You do you, as always. Okay, I forgot to get this little wire kind of tucked in here. Alright, that's where I want it to be. And we got one more screw for this. Dub Squirt says, I think Dan said it would wrap up in like 24 weeks now instead of 40. He's changing the format a little. Thank God. 40 weeks, Jesus. Yeah, I remember it went on a long time previously. 24 weeks is still a lot, though. It's like 6 months, isn't it? It's an endurance. It's an enduro, that competition. Which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool that there's that endurance element of the competition, because like technically you don't have to be the best pilot in the world to win it. You just have to be committed to a mental institute. No, to winning it, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong. You have to be a good pilot. Like, towards the end, all of the pilots are pretty good. But, yeah, it's not a straight-up who's the best pilot competition. It's who's hungriest, in a way. Which is really neat. There's not a lot of stuff that's like that, you know? Okay, getting these motors plugged back in here. Just for a second there, I thought I might have put the AIO in backwards, but I did not. Can you guys even see what I'm doing? Not really. Sorry. International Game of Voop with a V. VOOP. Okay. All right, so we're going to do one battery on these Newbie Drone Venom bi-blades, and then we're going to move over to the brand new Gemfan 1208 tri-blades. These 802s have enough stator volume to run a tri-blade really well, and we're going to pick up a little bit of power, I have a feeling, doing that. Definitely grip. I think we might pick up a little bit of power as well, though. It kind of depends. All right, so we're all back together. We don't really need to change anything because we're just getting more power into it. I guess there's a chance that we might need to back the PID tune off, but I doubt it. So let's fire up this transmitter. And I've got 3 BT2.0 batteries. These batteries are significantly more beat up than the PH2.0 batteries that I was just running. This one is straight up puffy. So I'm going to run this one first. Nah, I'm going to run a non-puffy one first because I want it to be immediately obvious the difference that BT2.0 makes here. It will be, but yeah, I want to be sort of drastic, I guess you could say. So here we go. And here we go. Get in there. All right. We are now on Betaflight connector. And let's see. Oh, transmitter's not ready. Ah. There it is. Good Lord. It's just obnoxious. You guys can see it, right? Let's go upstairs. Here's where you'll really see it. Ready? Good Lord! Look at there's the explosion. Jesus. In terms of high-ish KV 0802s, these make good power. Usually the Happy Model 0802s make significantly more power than all the other 802s. But these rail. I mean, shit, these might be made by Happy Model for all we know. So we're already at a minute of runtime. This is not going to get the runtime of my Ultimate rigs with the 702s, mainly because of weight and stator volume. Let's bring this back downstairs. Upstairs is always really hard on batteries. That was awkward. Ah! Oh boy. Ah. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean it's night and day. Like, see, so I can now start hitting stuff. Like I can now start hitting these. Stop that. These power loops through these gates, whereas before it was like kind of impossible. Still impossible. The rig is still a lot heavier than what I'm used to, but now it's got the power to back it up. Oh boy, easy, easy, easy. Relax, relax, relax. Everybody be cool. Everybody be cool. And there's our low battery warning at like 2 minutes and 20. So again, this is not a brand new battery. This is a battery that's been discharged probably 50 or 60 times. I should have charged up a fresh BT 2.0. Yeah, this one's not really fresh either. Let's move this over to tri-blades though. With BT 2.0, this and these 802s, it should be able to turn these tri-blades pretty well. Even with drilling these Azzies out, they're still sitting on there kind of tight. So we're going to use our tiny whoop prop puller here. You just sneak it under the bottom of the propeller against the prop in the motor. And that'll kind of break the seal. And then you push the plunger down. You want to just make sure that you get the plunger centered here. And off it comes. Man, it flies good with these Venom bi-blades, though. I gotta be honest. These Gemfan tri-blades have their work cut out for them to be any better. 27,000 kV. I mean, it's up there. It's approaching like bi-blade only territory, but these 802s are just usually grunty enough to get in there. Man, these are on here. Hold on. Let me try to just get this up a little tiny bit off the motor base. These Azzie props just fit so tight, man. Like even drilling them out, it's like the material. There's some material that is very grippy against the motor shaft. It's weird. What's that? Oh. Wheezing the juice. Oh my god. Alright, well, I mean, I just pulled the damn thing off by hand anyway. Get it the rest of the way off with the plunger though. Alright, cool. And oop. God forbid I hadn't drilled these out. Ugh, okay. That should be enough. Yep, there we go. Alright. There we go. Okay. And plunger. One more. I didn't leave my goggles on, did I? Nah, we're good. One more. Okay. Sneak this under here. Kind of wedge it in. Jesus. Alright, let's see if that's enough. Yeah, there we go. Just barely. Alright, cool. So we are good. And now we're going to put on these little clear tri-blades. These are not fresh. These have been beat up a little bit. But they're going to be alright. Oh yeah, and they fit on there a lot nicer. It's interesting. I drilled both of these propellers out with the same exact 0.99 millimeter drill bit. Hey, if you need a 0.99 millimeter drill bit, and if you're going to do tiny whoop things, you do. I am selling them along with stickers. Message me and I'll hook you up. $10 for a drill bit with one sticker. $15 for a drill bit with a sticker pack. Sticker pack includes either 3 or 5 stickers. Your choice. Okay, we got these guys on here. Let's see how this thing is with the new Gemfan tri-blades. So this is also a little bi-blade versus tri-blade comparison. It's kind of cool. What you want to look for is the difference in grip and runtime. Although the runtime comparison is tough because we're comparing two different batteries that have been discharged a different number of times. This battery that I'm putting in here is pretty whooped, so kind of ignore this one. The next battery that we do is a little bit more realistic of a comparison. So let's see here. Oh, fart. I put a propeller on wrong. I put two propellers on wrong. Unbelievable. Luckily, these are easy to pull off. Yep, the ones on the left side, I reversed them. This prop looks all bent up, though. I'm glad that I just did this. Hold on, let me bend this propeller back straight. One of the blades is just all fucked up in the game. Okay. And just above that standoff, just above, that one's fine. This one is not fine. Just above. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so it's that one that's all bent to hell. Get bent down, yo. Much better. Right on that line. Okay, cool. This'll fly a lot better than it did a second ago. Although it didn't fly at all. So, difference. Ah! Ah! Oh, nope. Ah. Oh, come on now. That's better. Yeah, a little bit more thrust. Man, the 802s, when you put a 702, oh my God. When you put a 702 onto a tri-blade, you don't really get any extra thrust. Like it just gets kind of bogged down. But the 802s, you definitely pick thrust up. That was awkward. I tried to force that power loop, and it didn't. Nah. I got through half. I always try to go back to the end, but try also not to bash into this wall that I spent a ton of time painting gray. Stop that, stop that, stop that, stop it, stop it, stop it! Oh, that ain't coming out. Oh God, why? Oh, come on now. Why you gotta be like that? Oh! Who is your daddy and what does he do? Oh, I think I might have gone through that. Didn't get stuck this time. Yo, this feels great on these tri-blades with these motors. This is awesome. Ooh, fuck yeah. Yo, okay. Newbie drone. Hi. Solder on a BT 2.0 lead. Throw these 0802 27,000s. And this thing rips, man. The fact that I'm actually like doing stuff with a rig this heavy is really goes to show you that it's got some substantial power. Prop removal tool, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's on tinywhoop.com. It's sold out. Jesse gets them in, they sell out instantly. He gets them back in, they sell out instantly. So yeah, what you want to do is follow Tiny Whoop on Instagram and Facebook, and join the Facebook group. And then hopefully you'll see when Jesse posts and says, hey, I'm putting a bunch more up. I think it's called the Prop Puller, Tiny Whoop Prop Puller. It's on the main page though. Last battery, we're gonna fly this on the tri-blades. I like these motors on the tri-blades better than the bi-blades. It gives them just enough extra power. Let's get some. Saw somebody requesting music, so let's throw some copyright-free music on real quick here, and yeah, we will round the stream out properly. What the fuck was that about? Oh, you dick! Come on. There we go. And what's this? Maharaja? Is this gonna be cool? This is gonna be cool, I can tell. Acrobee BLV4 0802 27,000 kV newbie drone motors, BT2.0. Slight tune. Not really much of a tune though. Here we go. Woo! Ah! Oh! Nothing broken? Good. I've turned the OSD completely off at this point. Oh, so close. Farts. Oh, don't. Yeah. Oh, come on now. Why you gotta do me like that? Don't do me like this. Not like this. Thank you. No! No, no! No! What? What is even happening? Oh, you fucker. Ugh, don't do me like this. Never give up, friends! Never give up! Oh god! What the fuck was that? I have no idea what just happened there. That should have been a simple little roll through that gate. And there we have it, friends. 2 minutes 35 of hard flying. On tri-blades, nonetheless. La la la! La la la! Fart! I'm sick of this copyright-free song. It plays a lot. Yeah, man. I'm blown away by these motors. What a solid amount of power. These are there have been a bunch of higher KV 0802s that have been a letdown. HGLRC makes a set of 25,000s that were a complete letdown. I forget who else, but yeah, these are a proper set of 27,000 kV motors. Having a hard time getting this BT2.0 unplugged at the moment. When you crash just right, you can really jam these plugs in here. Jesus. This will not come off. This poor battery. Ah, there we go. Jeez. Yeah, man. Wow. Admittedly, there's still some weirdness with the BLV4. But I know that they're working on it. I know that I've communicated all of this stuff to Kelvin, and he sent it all to their engineering folks. So hopefully there'll be a solution soon for how to get RPM filtering working. Getting the OSD to stop dropping out and flickering. And I mean, if 2S never works on the tiny lifters, I can't believe it works on the at all. So that won't be the end of the world. Kelvin has one of these on a 2S rig that does work. So for some people, 2S will work on this AIO. The tiny lifters are asking an awful lot of 2S, so they might just be like the weirdo exception. But yeah, the RPM filtering and the OSD stuff, I'm pretty confident that they'll get that straightened out. The OSD stuff, I'm almost certain they'll get straightened out. The RPM filtering stuff, I don't know. It depends on what that's being caused by. We'll see with that. But yeah, man, this thing is legit with these motors. I'm super happy with this. Metal Nerdskin with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for the support, my man. This is my full-time job, friends. If you like this kind of content and you'd like to see it continue, I rely on you. Click my affiliate links over on CiottiFPV.com when you're doing orders on any of those websites. Change your bookmarks to the affiliate links if you can't remember to click them. That's what I have to do. Buy yourself something nice from Etsy or Teespring. Let me work with you one-on-one on Fiverr. I've got over 6 years of experience. Let me dump some of that knowledge on you so that you don't have as hard of a time as I did, and so that you stop wasting $80, $90 on ESCs that suck or catch fire. Or join the Patreon. Patreon really helps me out the most. If you're into FPV, I know you've got 10 cents a day to spare. It's not an expensive hobby, but it's also not a cheap hobby. The knowledge that you will get from being a patron and hanging out with the folks in chat and getting access to the YouTube playlist, the articles that I've written on the Patreon page, the Facebook channels, and the Discord group are well worth $3 whole a month. If you've got more than $3 a month, there are some tiers where you can get in on some giveaways and win some stuff, which will cover the cost of the of the Patreon membership. So yeah, lots of different ways to keep this train rolling over on CiottiFPV.com. Thanks for hanging out. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Here comes a little bit of flying from earlier today. I'm going to put not that same song on for this. This is a Rip Squeak on 1404s. Enjoy, friends. I'll see you on Friday at 7 Eastern. This is where it kept falling out of the sky. I'm not going to play this one. Hold on. This should be better. It's from a Runcam Hybrid. Love you guys. Be good. Hang on.